money like cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Customer, clientele. I was broke, that was last year. Getting money like cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Benjamin, nothing less. I was broke, that was last year. Don't change on me. I never switched up. Been down since day one. Stay social. People change on me. I never switched up.
Welcome to Dope Black Thoughts. My name is Marcus Ivy.
I'm Kevin Cox. We have special guests in the studio with us.
Michael Carter, Esquire.
And appearing online,
Jason Hennington, the publisher of the Taylor Press, a local award-winning community newspaper.
Yes. I actually pulled it up as well. I'm excited. The colors are green and black, I suppose. But yeah, you know.
Taylor Ducks.
Well, that's Taylor Ducks. That's our color.
Okay. All right.
a little heritage thing going on.
Okay. So happy to have you on. Mike reached out to me and kind of gave me some interesting information that I was kind of like, whoa, okay. So really kind of excited and to be honest with you, just kind of happy to have another brother here who is the publisher of a paper. Let's just be real. How many do we have in the U.S. that are the publisher of a paper?
I don't know. I know within our group, within our the umbrella we're under, we have one other. And it's a black female. Her name is Alicia Woolridge. She's doing a great job out there in Columbus, Texas. So
Columbus, Texas.
I was gonna say Ohio, but that would be offensive to the Texas folks. I get it. So Ohio State.
And what's your location right now, geographically?
We are in Taylor. We're about 30 minutes north of Austin.
Okay.
We're a small community, kind of a small community, about 18,000.
Okay. Is that close to Round Rock?
Yes. We're only maybe 15, 20 minutes away from Round Rock.
So he's from Texas too.
I'm from Houston.
I guess all y'all got
okay.
So,
out of Houston area.
I graduated I played for the Taylor Ducks and the Round Rock Dragons.
Okay.
Back in my youth.
Now I was told driving through Round Rock, you got to be careful as a brother. You know, the police kind of watch.
Look, driving through Texas, just be careful.
Yes, sir.
Texas. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Round Rock is a part of Williamson County, and Carter, as you know, Williamson County has. There were some issues with sheriffs back in the day. I know I had some trouble with some sheriffs a couple of times in Williamson County. So.
Wow.
Well, and what y'all, and I know we wanted to talk about the live PD, but what I think would be helpful is Jason could talk about being a black publisher in Williamson County.
That's really kind of what I was hoping we could start a little bit.
Yeah, I really want to hear about black journalism because I mean that all brings it all together. Black journalism.
Right. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. No. You first.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, it's not easy. I can tell you that definitely it's not easy. But I do have roots here. Born and raised here in Taylor. My family is still here, so there are some areas where it's not as hard if I was from a different area and I was here. But at the same time, I've been in events and I'm taking pictures and I'll ask for a name and somebody will say, well, I don't know who you are. And I mean, I can show them a press pass and say, I'm with the newspaper. Well, somebody else was from the newspaper that was already over here. No? Okay. Well, no problem at all. I've had that issue. I've had people tell me I can't go into games. I've been thrown off of movie sets. I've had some issues. I mean, one time I had somebody come in the office and say I was a nice young colored man. But
it's still Texas.
Yeah, it's still Texas.
Great.
He said man or boy?
No, it was a lady, and she said man. Man. But at the same time, for every one of those I deal with, I also deal with people who don't care that I'm black, who are just like, you do the job right, you got my support.
Right.
And that's kind of what I carry, you know, when I'm out here doing stuff. It's like, you know, everybody's gonna have their opinion, but as long as I'm doing the job correctly, then the people who support that are the ones that I'm actually listening to.
Sheesh. Carter.
Well, no, like you said, he's from the community. Literally, my grandfather. Those don't know, Jason's my cousin. Our mothers are sisters, and our grandfather. I mean, we've been part of that community. The Brockingtons. He's a Hennington. I'm a Carter, but the reality is the Brockingtons have been in that community for, 80 years.
Okay.
We've got people that go all the way back to, you look at the benchmarks in like history. Taylor, and this is crazy. Our family's been in Taylor so long that I remember being in school with teachers who taught my mother at a segregated high school.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So, I'm not 50 years old. We had, and basically Taylor in about 1960s was kind of had to integrate, when it was the law, and two, they didn't have the money to have two separate school districts or school systems. And so, and you can O.L. Price Panthers, O.L. Price, I think one of my uncles graduated. Uncle Jimmy and Uncle Jerry both graduated from O.L. Price. And my mom actually did not graduate from O.L. Price. So my mother was in a segregated high school and was one of the first to actually go to the integrated high school. And I believe Jason's mom actually graduated and spent her whole time in the integrated high school.
Right.
We're literally, I'm in school with teachers who are like, I know your mama.
Wow.
I remember when there were only Black people in this school, there were only white people in this school.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things you got to remember, and that's the great thing, you don't even understand, Jason being a newspaper man in the town of Taylor. All right. I mean, Jason, we went to First Baptist Church. All right.
Yes, sir.
First Baptist Church, mile walk down the street. This is what you think about a good old Southern Baptist church, Black preacher, Reverend Rivers. I still shout out to Reverend Rivers, even though he's passed. Right. But every year we'd have, I don't know if this is how other churches do it, you invite a church to your house or to your church.
Right.
So remember, how big did you say Taylor was? 18,000?
Yeah.
So when I'm growing up, it was probably about 10 or 11.
Right.
Wow.
Every year, we would invite, as a visiting church, the white First Baptist Church of Taylor, Texas.
Now that's interesting.
Think about it. Now we're all, same Bible,
right?
Same book, same stories,
same denomination.
Over here, you got the Black First Baptist Church of Taylor, Texas. Right. God bless Reverend Rivers. But over here, you had the white First Baptist Church of Taylor, Texas.
That's right.
And the only time they came together was at one event a year where you invited their congregation.
Event. Yeah. So, and something I learned, and I actually learned this working at the paper. The First Baptist Church we went to is the oldest Baptist church in Taylor, Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of times when we have to write stories, I have to correct some of our reporters and say, if they write the First Baptist Church, and I'm saying, if you're not talking about the one on Robinson Street, take out the. There are some people who get upset about that, but they'll say, why can't you call this the First Baptist Church? Because it's not the first one.
Right.
It's just First Baptist Church. And now with Reverend Anthony Watson that's there now, he reaches out to the other churches all the time. So you see a little bit more of a mixture in the community with the Black churches and the white churches when different things are going on.
And just real quick, I want y'all to think about that. And this is why newspapers and information is so important.
Right.
Obviously, or not obviously, I believe the white First Baptist Church was bigger or is bigger.
Yes.
And if you didn't have a newspaper man or somebody who controlled the information, if somebody went in and be like, oh, you talking about First Baptist Church, not the one on Robinson Street, you talking about that one, thinking because it's bigger, because it's white, that's the first and the oldest. And the reality is no. As our grandfather, who was a deacon at that church, sat on a pew.
That's right.
They raised it, controlling the means of information and being able to give correct information. It still blows my mind that my cousin is the publisher and editor of the Taylor Daily Press, which I used to throw.
That's right.
Which, yes, back in the day, for the children who probably don't even know what a newspaper is, you would actually, I'd roll them up. I'd go to football practice. Mm-hmm. My cousins would roll my papers for me.
Did you pay them?
Not at all.
We family.
Please,
we family. You ain't got to pay family.
Yeah, I never got a check or anything for that.
It's coming, man. But I'd roll them and I'd ride around.
Some hella interest on that check.
Oh yeah.
Throwing newspapers. I'd ride around throwing newspapers in Taylor.
Oh.
Or even better, I know you guys want to get to what's going on in the paper.
I want to ask about the demographics too of the town.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you something real quick, and it's about the demographics. So,
okay,
Taylor did not have a lot of money. It wasn't a wealthy community back then.
Right.
And there were 2 pools. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly where you're getting ready to go with this.
2 neighborhood pools.
Oh, Lord. Here we go.
Hey, man, you don't want to go down there. There were 2 pools. So I had all my cousins. That was one of the greatest places on earth for me. It was like Disneyland, because in the summer, all your cousins.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, back then, parents had it easy because you didn't have summer camp. You just grabbed all your cousins and shipped them off to your grandparents.
That's right.
And so all the cousins would come down, and we'd be in Taylor. It's just hot. Mama didn't have no air conditioning, and it's just hot. And we want to go to the pool, right? And there was a pool that all of our friends hung out at. And all of our friends were what? Black.
Right.
So what do we call it?
The black pool.
Black pool.
There was another pool that had a different group of people. Mm-hmm. And they didn't look like us. And we'd be like, Mama didn't know. We want to go to the black pool. And she would get so upset because she's like, no, there's only one pool. I was like, no, the black pool's the one where all of our people go hang out.
That's the one.
Why would I go to the white pool? She's like, don't call it that. But that's where all the white people are. Go ahead.
And actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I just want to talk just a little bit about the black pool. Again, being here at the newspaper, I've learned some things. I've questioned some things. Mike, you probably don't realize this, but the black pool was probably one of the most dangerous places in Taylor, because it's right next to a power plant.
Oh, wow.
There are power lines going over the top of it. All it would have taken was one power line to snap, and anybody in that pool would have been dead.
Mm-hmm.
That pool is officially closed right now. It's been closed for probably about 2 or 3 years because there's cracks in the foundation. About a year and a half ago, they upgraded the park in downtown Taylor. $4 million to do this park. They put in a splash pad, amphitheater, all these different things. There was a town hall meeting on the south side of Taylor, and they were talking, and I raised my hand and asked, how much is it going to be to fix the pool over here, or upgrade the pool, or put a new pool in?
So this is a city pool or neighborhood pool?
No, these are city, yes.
City.
Yeah, it's a city pool. And the answer I received was, it's going to cost $3 million for us to put a basic pool in. I say, okay, so $3 million, so that's going to include what, like a slide, diving board, bathrooms? No, that's just the pool and the pump system. And then they spent $4 million to upgrade the downtown park. And I called my city council members, and I asked one of them, I said, so you're telling me you can spend $4 million and completely redo this park? You got the same pump system in the splash pad that you would have in the swimming pool, but there's only a $1 million difference.
Wow.
I don't think you're telling me the truth.
Yeah, that don't sound like it at all.
There has been no more discussion about that pool. Now we may have to just close it up and just cover it and try to find a new spot to put it in or put in an additional splash pad.
Wow.
Man, so you have a journalism background. You're a publisher. This gentleman, you're a lawyer. You want to talk a little bit about what you do in law? Because we haven't just spoken about you.
Oh.
We've talked to you, but we haven't spoken about you.
Sorry, I'm a criminal defense attorney. Mr. Ivy, just like Mr. Ivy, but not as good. But
Please.
criminal defense attorney. I mean, my background, like when you're in college, you got to find something. You in order for me to continue to go to school,
Mm-hmm.
I had to take classes I enjoyed.
Right.
Right. I just did not have that self-determination that other people had. So I had to take classes I enjoyed, and the classes that I always gravitated to were political science.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the random things happened in the University of New Mexico is where I ended up going to school in the 60s. If you recall, as we were talking in the 60s, the University of New Mexico, and you can look at this up, the Mountain West, like those schools, Wyoming, Colorado, those schools, Colorado State, were integrated because there were no black people. So there was no law to keep them out.
Okay.
So the University of New Mexico had these athletes. They bring in like track athletes, black athletes at the University of New Mexico. There's a great documentary on the University of Wyoming and the fact that its football team was integrated before anybody cared. But because all these athletes came into the University of Mexico, they stayed and they formed an African American Studies program. And so once I get to New Mexico, I'm taking political science. There's an African American Studies program. Bam, the history, and you're being taught by people who were, in the movement,
Right.
but just ended up in New Mexico. And so I'm like, well, this is awesome. But then I don't know if anybody knows what you're supposed to do with a political science degree, which is nothing.
Right.
And the next step with an African American Studies degree is to go and get like a PhD in African American Studies.
And become an African American Studies
Teacher,
professor.
And I'm like, okay, right. I've got 2 degrees that I can't use. And I was like, well, I got to do something. And DU had afternoon program. And I was like, oh, well, I couldn't work. I was bartending and managing a restaurant.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I remember
It's
the
out of
restaurant.
business now.
Yes.
Not my fault. I'm bartending and managing a restaurant, and I'm taking classes at night. And I remember this dude, Skeet Johnson.
Skeet Johnson, that was my mentor too.
And I think he taught like a class. And he saw me one evening, and he's like, how come you ain't in my class? I'm like, I don't even know what you teach. Who are you? And he taught like a public defender intro, right? And he's like, you take this, but the reality was you don't really, it's not a class like any other class you'd ever take. It's you're about to become a public defender. So I'm going to grab you. And tomorrow you're going to be at the public defender's office, and you're going to pick up cases. You're going to help with
So
trials.
it's like on the job training.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Bloody on the job training.
Wow.
Bloody on the job training. And I got there, and it was love at first sight, man. I love at first sight. Nakia Bland, Judge Bland, my mentor, did my first trial with Judge Bland, and I am scared. I mean, I'm just gonna be truthful. I am scared, and we're sitting like this. So it's Judge Bland. She was not a judge then. Me and the client. We're sitting there, and Nakia goes, "I'm gonna do certain things, but the rest of the trial is yours." I'm like, "All right, I got this. I ain't got nothing." And something happened. She'd done a bunch of pretrial rulings just to keep me comfortable and get me where I needed to be. And something goes by, like, a piece of evidence to come in. And she's like, you need to object to that. And I'm like, I'm not moving. Like, I don't know what you think is about to happen, but I am not moving. So it comes around again. And she's like, you need to object. I'm like, I'm done. Woo, I got my tie on, got my suit on. I'm sitting in the chair. I'm good.
I showed up.
I showed up. That's what they say. Half of it's showing up.
That's right.
I'm good. It came around again. She looked at me. She grabbed a piece of right there.
Oh, got it.
Right there. I jumped out of that chair. Objection. The judge is looking at me. The DA is looking at me like,
what's your objection?
all I could think was, you know what? I'm not sure what's going on, but she is not pinching me again. And I was in that room. I was in there with Skeet was there. Judge Bland was there, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Yep.
this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do.
Yes.
And I became a criminal. I've been a criminal defense attorney ever since.
Nothing better than it as far as I'm concerned in terms of trial. People say they call themselves trial attorneys. No,
There's a difference.
there's a difference. So definitely. So I was doing a little research. So do y'all report on anything that happens at Lake Travis? Like, the big Trump train boats that all sank?
No, no, that's a little bit out of our coverage area.
Okay.
One thing I try to do is keep it hyper local. We try to keep it Taylor specific. Taylor, Hutto.
Hutto, that was the other one I just
okay.
saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say Hutto. I'm glad you said it
No,
for
Hutto.
me. So
Who is Hutto?
The hippos.
The hippos.
No, but the name Hutto, is that from a famous
city,
person?
it sounds like,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
Does that come from a famous person's name, like Sam Houston or Crockett?
Oh man, I have no idea. I know we have the T. Don Hutto Detention Center here in Taylor for
See, that's why I
immigrants.
asked, because there was a road in my hometown, Baytown, Texas. There's like 30,000 people in the 80s when I grew up. There's a street called Emmett O. Hutto, and it obviously is a historical figure. I just don't know what this person did. I should be Googling that before I ask you, but I'm just curious if you knew.
Yeah, I don't know, but now I have something that I'm going to be looking into.
So I have to ask then this next question. I'm just looking at the online version. So how much, at least on the front, I clicked on news, right? I clicked on news for Taylor, and
Okay.
I'm not seeing much in the way of any politics. So, and I know we want to get to talking about, one of the main reasons that you hear is you talk to us about, the live PD show that used to be on the police department show. But I was curious, do y'all, what is it with politics? Do y'all not discuss it? Where you at?
We do discuss politics, but we do local politics.
Okay.
One of the first things I kind of got scolded about when I started, not in this position as publisher, but in this position period, was be sure that you're not taking one side over the other. So when we talk about politics, we try to keep it right down the middle. We try to stay away from the parties, the political parties,
Yeah.
Republican, Democratic. We try to stay away from that. If we do something about one, we try to have something similar about the other. Local politics, it's a little bit different because these are the people who are in the community with you, and regardless what you do, regardless what you say about them, they're all gonna hate the newspaper just because we're the newspaper.
Yeah.
And that's just something we deal with. I'll be honest, and I've said this out in the community. I actually don't like election season, just because people act a certain way during election season. I mean,
So they do.
Carter, I think I've told you this story before. A couple of years ago, I was coaching my daughter's basketball game. It's a Saturday. We're in the gym at 8 o'clock. We just got beat by 30. I got pulled over to the side and cussed out because the former publisher was friends with somebody that was running for city council. And his opponent's wife pulled me to the side and cussed me out and was like, you need to make sure it's fair. He's not going to do it, so we expect you to do it. and this is what you need to do, and y'all had this, and y'all had that, and I'm, like I said, 8 o'clock in the morning, we just lost by 30. This is the last thing on my mind.
Right.
So, political season here is stressful, but I do the best I can to maintain and stay right in the middle on everything. We actually we host a big political forum where we get all the candidates together, and they have questions. They have a certain amount of time, and it's just election season is something else here. I'll just leave it at that.
Fair enough. I just was curious. Curious.
What about op-eds? Opinion pieces?
Yes. We do have opinion pieces. Right now, I'm the only one who writes an opinion piece, and okay. I have gotten plenty.
What's the most incendiary, controversial opinion piece you've written? What kind of feedback do you get?
I wrote one about the flag a couple of years ago. People, the NFL players kneeling for the flag. Actually, that gentleman right there, I talked to him, and he wasn't completely on board with everything I said about it. Him and my brother, who are both military men, thank you for your service. But I wrote about how the message got lost in the media. Not necessarily us, but the media in general. And, the social injustices were still happening. The killing of the unarmed black men, all of these different things were happening. And the players were kneeling to, signify there needs to be change. All of that got lost. I wrote a column about that, and I got an email saying that I need to get an office by myself, away from all the white people in my office. I got an email saying I never served in the military. I don't have the right to say anything like that. I've gotten all kind of things. I got one where a guy said, if black men would just comply, things like that wouldn't happen.
Man, well, hey, why did he run when he got shot in the back? What was your opposing opinion there? Did you have opposition? Was it just nuance to it, or?
Like he said, and I don't want to bear the matter. It ain't just me and Kevin, but we are third or fourth generation military in my family, literally, right? And there is and this is just the way we're conservative, which is hilarious to think that in a certain context, some people would think of me as a conservative. But I was raised in a military family. I joined the military, and for me, the flag means something. But it also, and this is what was lost, and this is what's nuanced, it means that you have the right to protest.
Right.
And my fight was, I'm not mad about you protesting, just, the flag means something. I'm sorry, the flag means something. There's a flag. I put up one because we started doing all these Zooms. I want to make sure I got a picture in my video conference when I'm in court of me and my unit with the flag.
Yeah.
So don't be confused. But I also have on the other side a picture of Rosa Parks' mugshot. So you gotta have
right.
That's balance.
That's the way we are as human beings. Because I come from a military family as well, and I attempted to enlist twice. Football injuries kept me out of the military. I tried once for the Army and once for the Navy, and the doctors turned me down. But I don't have a problem with anybody kneeling, but I still, some people opt out of the Pledge of Allegiance. I still want to say the pledge. I support people kneeling for the national anthem, but I like to sing it because it just reminds me of back in the days. It's like just tradition, and it was just a very, very rare opportunity. You got to sing the national anthem. It's not very often, so I just like joining in on that. So some of it is, a lot of it's tradition, and I can understand with that being part of my tradition, how some of these white boys, excuse the colloquialism, how some people of different demographics hold the Confederate flag to be a certain part of their tradition. I also accept the racist and slavery and white supremacist connotations of that flag. I accept that that's a part of it as well. But
they
won't.
Years.
But they don't. The problem that you have with that flag, I don't even want to go off on this tangent, is that people are like, that's my heritage. But you have no clue. You can't have an intelligent conversation with me about the history of that flag. Period.
Right.
Yeah, like, is that even the flag?
And it was not. Thank you for bringing that up. It's not actually their flag.
This flag you're fighting for, is that really the flag you're fighting for?
Oh
Right.
my goodness.
Right.
Oh, see, most people don't know that history, because if you bring about that history, you start to debate, they're like, no, it's like, no, you don't know the history.
Why are we? And so why are we having this conversation? If you look, man, you just brought a knife to a gunfight.
So
That's it.
I had a friend that was a stark Trump supporter, and he wore a Confederate flag cut off shirt to the house and didn't think anything of it.
Cut off.
Yeah, and
Wow. Okay. It's a male?
I'm gonna not go any further without making a phone call or a text, because it gets deep. So we talked about the Confederate flag, and he was like, "Oh man, it don't mean slavery. It means mudding and drinking beer and
Wow.
mudding. Is that what the Confederate flag meant? Is that what they did when they killed N-word lovers? They were just mudding and drinking beer when they were hanging black people. It looked like me cutting their fingers off if they tried to climb up the rope. Is that what they did?
Yeah.
They just mudded and drank some beer? No, you raped generations of our mothers and sisters, and you beat and killed generations of our fathers and brothers. Like, there's a little bit more than just mudding and drinking beer.
There's
but
some
obviously,
deep history attached.
a lot of these people are history illiterate as well, though.
Yes.
Right.
There you go. You hit it on the head. That's it.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna open up a history class now? Because you got them in K through 12. You got them in college. If they wanted to know, they would have learned it by now.
Literally.
Right.
And you got it
People
on your
are
phone.
screaming anti-socialism while taking
Yes.
Social Security. Really, how'd you get here? I was on the road. Who paid for it? Socialism.
And their kids are in their socialistly funded school system.
Right.
Get them back into school. Get them back into school now.
And support your troops. Support your troops, because we're against socialism.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And with my column, and I talked to Mike and my brother about it, and I told him, I said, I don't have anything against the flag. That was not what this was about. And just kind of the way that this conversation just went, the message was lost. Mm-hmm. The message was, something is happening and we need to find a way to fix it.
Yes.
And kneeling for the flag, I understand Colin Kaepernick was not playing well or playing at all, but he had a platform and it started the conversation. Now, I just recently wrote a column, and I had a council member in here the other day who read it. And, we know what the problem is, but we're still not doing anything to fix it. And I feel like that's a bigger problem.
No, absolutely.
You know, something I always bring up, especially now when there's so many protests that end up becoming violent, end up becoming something more than what they were originally supposed to be. I bet you wish we were just kneeling now. If 100,000 black folks went up to the Capitol of Washington, D.C., and just kneeled and threw up the black power fist, get my right fist, and if they just kneeled, threw up the black power fist, y'all be a whole lot happier. But I remember when a brother did try to do that, and you said, just not like that. And I don't like it when people say, just not that, when they're not providing any alternative solution that will be effective.
It's like saying health insurance. We don't need Obamacare.
What do you want?
I'm sick,
but I don't have anything else to replace it with. But okay, I got you.
Right.
So what do I do when I get sick? Well,
K-12 education. You know, we need private schools and charter schools, and then when they fail, where's all the students that were underserved? Where do they come crawling back to? Us, because we have to take them by statute.
It's literally called a social safety net. But you hate socialism.
Right.
It's literally called a social safety net.
By the way, the root word is society, and I don't know where you think you live.
Right.
Nice.
That was a good one.
Root word of
Yeah,
society.
absolutely.
All right. Okay. So I'm actually we're not going to shortchange this. So we may just be doing 2 segments.
Yeah, we can do a part.
Okay.
So this is ending segment 1, but we about to start segment 2 now. So we're gonna pause for a second. All right, segment 2. So, Jason, talk to us about There was a television show. What was the name of it?
Live PD.
Live PD. I remember scrolling through when I actually had cable for a minute, but I remember this was like live cameras following you with lights on, police officers, police departments from all over. In fact, the last one I saw, which was a while ago, was in Oklahoma, and I went to law school in Oklahoma, and it was in Tulsa, and I was like, interesting. It was interesting. Let me just put it that way. But talk to us.
In my opinion, Live PD was a mess. It was, and again, my opinion, I never liked the show. It was here twice. Not twice as in, this day and another day. No, it was here twice. It was here, it got canceled, got pulled out by the county, and then it came back. The first time it was here, I spoke out about it and said how I didn't think it was good. They were pulling people over for running red lights. There's actually an episode that happened here in Taylor where a car got pulled over because they thought the lady's tail light was out. Not her tail light, her license plate light on the back of her car was out.
Yeah,
famous.
The little bulb.
Yes, it wasn't. But they pulled her over, and her husband, I know him. I went to school with him. Her husband starts acting crazy, yelling and screaming, and then he starts freestyling.
Freestyle rapping?
Yeah, freestyle rapping. The whole time they got the camera on him.
Well, spit a few bars for us real quick.
I don't remember them.
Since you got that camera,
Right.
But
my mark.
Yeah, but like they asked her to get out of the car. She went out, she's in the back of the car. You can still hear him. And he's spitting bars. They pull him out of the car. They got him in cuffs up against the car. They're in the back and they're talking to her. And the whole time she's saying, "What are you pulling me over for? What did we do?" And the officer, "Well, if your friend in there would just calm down," and she was like, "You're talking to me. He's over there with those officers. What did you pull me over for?" The officer said, "Well, your light is out on your license plate." And she leaned down and she went over and she was like, "No, it's not." And the camera actually zooms in on the license plate and it's not out. And then they give them their license and they're on their way. But there's a skate park downtown where there's a bunch of kids here in Taylor. I saw Live PD pull a car over for running a red light. I was actually passing by when this happened. All of the kids at the skate park get off of their skateboards and their bikes and stuff, and they come over and they're watching this happen. They're watching the guy get pulled over and seeing these people jumping out of their cars with cameras and stuff. And I think that Live PD put a bad mark on our community. There's crime everywhere. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. There's crime everywhere. We know that. But to put it on a national stage and make it seem like Taylor is just that bad or Williamson County is just that bad. Now, there have been some incidents where, they've caught people with, a bunch of dope, weapons and those kind of things. But there's probably more where they didn't. And
I got a story up here, USA Today, how a Texas Sheriff's Department used a SWAT team to make Live PD more dramatic, and it happens to be Asher Watsky of Williamson County.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes. A lot of times with Live PD, SWAT was there when they would do a lot of these raids or different things, and many times there was nothing to it. They'd go in and they'd expect to have, a bunch of guns or a bunch of drugs or a bunch of money and stuff, and they go in and they don't find that. SWAT is whenever Williamson County Sheriff's was out, if SWAT was with them, you could almost guarantee that Live PD was with them as well.
Really? Were they getting paid?
Yes. Yes. The county was getting, let me change that. Not the county, the Sheriff's Department was getting money through a contract with Live PD, and I believe that's the situation it was. I don't want to speak out of turn on this because I wrote a column about Live PD and how much I didn't like it, and the Williamson County Sheriff reached out to me.
There it is.
And he was like, let me explain what we do with Live PD. And I had no problem with that because the first thing he said was, you're the only newspaper that has covered it by the facts. You put out there, what Live PD was, and then you put your own opinion and said, this is what you think of it. He said, I felt like I could respect you and I could give you a call. And he and I talked, and we didn't agree on everything, but I did respect the fact that he was willing to call and talk to me and give me a rundown of how the Sheriff's Department uses Live PD. Now, the way he was telling me they use it, I'm like, okay, that can work. But some of this other stuff that's happening, I'm not so into. He said they use it as a training tool. They have different officers that are on there, and then when the show is over, they take that tape and they sit down and they watch it. Kind of like a football team. You play the game, and then you sit down and you watch the film, and you figure out what you did wrong, where you can improve.
But they already got body cams, so you don't need a TV show for a training tape.
Right. I agree with that. But when he put it in that perspective, it was like, okay, that's a training tool. And then he said, they have a big thing, the Live PD watch parties. And before the officers go out, the community comes in and they get to meet them. So kids get to see, these officers that are on TV, but they get to know who they are.
That's interesting.
It's kind of crazy to me. That's spooky.
Thank you. But I mean,
It's real spooky.
you're burying the lead. There is a SWAT team is following around Live PD so they can make these traffic stops
More dramatic. Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
so weird about that when you have a president that came from a damn reality TV show?
Yeah. Now, I will say those are some of the parts where the sheriff and I disagree.
Oh,
Hey man,
he thought it was okay,
To say the least.
Yeah. Do you really need a SWAT team with you?
and who's
when you
paying
go
for
do
the
some of this
SWAT
stuff?
team? Because
They
Live
cost me-
PD paying for the SWAT team? Because
No.
I assume that's like
No.
overtime. The
Yeah,
county
those are county resources.
wow.
That's
somewhere where the SWAT
taxpayer
team
money.
isn't.
Right. And if like I said, if it's a big thing, there was a guy that was running drugs from Taylor to North Carolina one time. I was down there when they busted him, SWAT team, everything. There was no Live PD. That's a time when you want to have them, when you got something like that. Not when you bust in a guy's house and he's got, an ounce of marijuana.
Right.
I was thinking you were going to say basically that Live PD was like a contractor, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to go on this certain type of sting, and we're going to bring the guys." It's just like that. So if they bust a guy going from cross state lines, grab a camera guy, and we're going to make it Live TV or Live PD. That would have seemed, more.
No. This was there were certain officers that were assigned on nights that Live PD was with them. Wherever they went, Live PD was in a vehicle behind.
So is it because they knew that those officers would be pulling people over specifically?
Or was it one of these guys?
I think it's more of the latter.
Yes.
I think it was more of the
If you're in the
latter.
audience and you didn't catch that move, you just rub your skin, you talk about the color of your skin.
Like we would get pulled over as a group. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
With the camera.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
obviously, pull them over.
Well, the Javier Ambler situation.
And that was the one that was on the cover of the USA Today.
Okay,
Yes.
talk to me about that. That's new to me.
Okay, so Javier Ambler was a gentleman from Austin, and he was in Williamson County. He was driving, and Williamson County sheriffs were trying to pull him over. He didn't have his lights on. He didn't stop. They chased him. They ended up chasing him into Travis County. Now, from my understanding from the reports I've received, Travis County refused to help Williamson County and pursue this man that they were trying to stop because he didn't have his lights. Mr. Ambler ends up crashing. I believe he crashed into a fence or something like that, and the officers got out. Live PD is with him. Officers got out. They got over to him, got him out of the car. He's putting his hands up. He's saying, hey, I have a heart condition. I have congestive heart failure. You know, don't do anything to me. And he's verbally talking back to him. They're yelling at him, telling him to get on the ground. He's standing there with his hands up and saying, you know, I have congestive heart failure. Don't do anything to me. Don't hurt me. They end up getting him in cuffs, have him on the ground. He's yelling, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. They tased him. He's still saying, you know, I can't breathe. I have congestive heart failure. They tased him again, and he passes out. He ends up dying from this. Again, live PD is there. This happened in May of 2019. The tape never aired. It wasn't until earlier this year, right before all the COVID stuff hit, that the body cam footage was released. Now, I actually, being a journalist, I watched the body cam footage. Those officers killed that man.
Yeah, they did.
He said, I have congestive heart failure. They're telling him to stop resisting. He's laying on the ground with his arms behind his back in cuffs. And he's saying, I have congestive heart failure. I cannot breathe. I'm not resisting. And they still tase me.
What ethnicity was this gentleman?
Black.
Black man.
Yes,
Breaking
black
news.
man. Yeah. And I've had people question and ask me. I've had discussions with people about this. If he was not a black man, would that have happened? My answer, excuse my language, hell no, that wouldn't have happened.
I thought you were going to say something way worse than that. Yeah, of course that wouldn't happen. I mean,
but I want, as a criminal defense attorney, the Travis County, that's University of Texas, Austin,
right.
There, it wasn't that they wouldn't aid in the pursuit. They indicated a do not pursue. Is my understanding.
Because Travis County is the county that Austin's in, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Austin probably a little bit more progressive city than Taylor.
Yes.
So more progressive. So Austin says, hey, we're not going to pursue this person. This is going to make it more dangerous to society and the person behind the wheel. We can catch them. We have technology. There are cops in different. We try to apprehend them eventually, as opposed to right now, because we say so. Because we're a non-authoritarian city, right?
Right.
And lo and behold, the people that will chase you across county lines, aren't they supposed to cease and desist when you pass the county lines?
Yeah, as far as I know, that's what they're supposed to do.
You're supposed to get permission.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So did Travis County offer like a cease and desist, or did they offer permission?
I'm not completely sure on that. I'm not completely sure if they said that they just weren't gonna help, or if they asked Williamson County to not pursue. I don't know for sure. I will say, if Travis County said, stop, don't cross our lines, they had live PD with them. Williamson County had live PD with them, and they weren't just going to stop because they thought they were going to have something for good TV.
You know, all this high definition footage of body cams, and now we get to see officers say, stop resisting the people that aren't resisting. I think that should be video evidence of a crime being committed right there.
By the officer.
By the officer.
Right.
He's yelling out a command or words that can kill this person. It's like yelling out fire in a movie theater. You can't go in a movie theater and yell fire. And if there's video of me yelling fire in a movie theater and a few people get trampled, I go to jail, right? So when this officer grabs someone with the cuffs behind his hands and he says stop resisting, and everyone can see he's subdued in high definition, where are the charges?
That should be evident.
And one of the things with remember, there's video camera, there's live PD, and there's body cam. It took them almost a year to get the body cam.
Body cameras.
Tell the people what happened when you tried to get Live PD's video.
Please.
According to Live PD, that footage has been destroyed.
Oops.
They don't know what happened to it.
You know how TV shows do.
Yeah.
They just be losing footage sometimes.
Since it didn't air.
Is that why we can't get reruns of Benson? Because the stuff just keeps disappearing.
I love Benson.
I can get as many reruns of Dukes of Hazzard, but I can't get a rerun of Benson.
I never thought of that.
Anyway.
Yeah. So that footage is nowhere to be found. And if I'm not mistaken, when this has come up in court, Live PD has said, we can't produce that footage because we don't have it anymore.
Yeah, I had to look it up too. That's what they said. So your county, Williamson County, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
3 of the 4 commissioners called for the resignation of Sheriff Chody.
Yes.
When was that? When did they do that? When did they call for that resignation?
That was a little earlier this year.
In 2020. Okay.
Yes. Now there's been people trying to get him out since he got here. But it wasn't just the county commissioners. One of the state representatives, James Tallarico, he put out a statement that said, I'm calling for him to resign immediately. I know there are a lot of people here in Taylor that have said, we need him out. He's got to go. It's election season, and the guy running against him is a retired sheriff's deputy. This guy's been retired for years, and he's just been enjoying his time with his wife and his family. But because of what Sheriff Chody has been doing, this guy's coming back, and it's like, we need to get rid of him. So there's a lot of people in Williamson County that want the sheriff gone.
Did that sheriff ever tell you how much Live PD was, what the contract was, how much money that was being generated?
No, and I asked, but that answer was never given to us. It was just it's a partnership that's going to be good for the community. It's going to be good for the sheriffs. They're going to get their training through some of this, and he went into all of the stuff I said earlier about how they use it as a training tool, but there was never any kind of number thrown out. And also, the first time Live PD was here, the county commissioners agreed with it. And, they were okay with the contract. The county commissioners, same county commissioners, terminated the contract. And then when they came back the second time, it was because the sheriff just went and made the contract himself. Never got approval from the county commissioners.
Oh, he just doing what he want.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do what he want to do.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Chody.
Yeah, Sheriff Chody.
And this sheriff is elected?
Yes, he was elected. He also won the lottery. That's where he got a lot of his campaign money.
That's right. He got that lottery money. He don't care.
It don't get no better.
Oh, wow. This is you can't write that. You can't make this up. Wow, okay. That made
you talking to the paper right now, so he gonna tell you what really happened.
Yeah. There's so much more I can.
That's what we call shenanigans.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shenanigans in Williamson County.
I'll also say this, and I've just done a little bit of research on it. I haven't gone too deep into it, but I've gotten some emails from people here in Taylor that are talking about Chody when he was at, I don't remember if he was in Austin or where he was at, but he, I have emails talking about him, slamming black kids on car hoods, and when I say kids, I mean 14, 15, not adults.
Those are men in the white community.
Yeah.
14, 15-year-old black person.
Yeah. When he was doing this as an officer, not as the sheriff.
Of course. Yeah.
I don't know how true it is, but being in the newspaper business, you want to have more than one source, and I have several emails that paint those pictures.
I'm just blown away as I look at pictures of Javier Just a young black man. He had a son, has a son named Javier Ambler II, and I'm so tired of seeing this.
Yeah,
I'm just so tired of seeing this. I for a while the videos would come. I'd watch the videos, and then I stopped. Then I became numb to the videos because they didn't affect me.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they started to affect me again, so I couldn't watch the videos. I'm not sure I'd want to watch that video of this young black man saying, I got congestive heart failure. And these people don't get it. I just watched the video yesterday of the young man who was, not young man, but the older gentleman who was naked out on the street.
Yeah.
And he was
Daniel Prude.
He was clearly having on PCP, but the fact that you sit there and watch him as he's got this thing on his face, he's clearly suffocated, he's asphyxiated. The cop is holding his neck down, and the female ambulance person comes over and says, "Oh, well, he's just having PCP delirium." That's what it is. No, that's not what it is. This man was suffocated, and that was hard to watch.
I don't think it was the face cover. I think it was the three grown men putting all their body weight on them on the freezing pavement. Here's another question, officers, your first responders. When you see a naked person having a drug reaction or a mental health breakdown, if you can't confirm the drug reaction, how is leaving them face down, handcuffed on freezing cold concrete because it was snowing?
It was snowing.
How do you do that and say that you're a first responder that cares about human life?
Which is why I can't watch this video either.
You're supposed to save their life. You're not supposed to end their life. He's about to die from a drug overdose. He doesn't even know where he's at.
And there was no rush until they realized, oh, he's not breathing. Oh, go ahead and flip him over. Hey, should we take the cuffs off of him? Sure, take the cuffs off of him. That's the extent. I can't imagine what it was for Javier in that aspect. He's sitting there telling you, I have congestive heart failure. Has his family sued the county?
Yes, I know there's been action taken, and there's a lot that's been going on with this court case. Of course, the whole COVID thing has slowed the process down, but his family is looking for justice. There's a lot of people still looking for justice for this, because this was, like I said, I saw the video, and the only reason I watched the video was because of the journalist thing.
Sure, absolutely.
It was like, if I'm gonna have an opinion about what's going on here, I want to at least see what happened. And it's a very disturbing video to watch.
So what that says to America, Black America, for every hashtag, there's one in your town that you probably haven't heard of. For Aurora, Colorado, we have Elijah McClain. And before Elijah McClain, it was somebody else. For
Louisville, we have Breonna Taylor.
Yeah, Breonna Taylor, and the other gentleman that was a business owner that was killed outside of his barbecue. And they left his body in the heat for 12 hours. On the pavement for 12 solid hours, just let him decompose. In front of everybody. They're begging him to pick the body up. Can't do it. Ongoing investigation. Take your pictures and pick up that man. Respect the dead.
Right.
Rochester, the gentleman we were talking about having the drug overdose, if that's what it was. Just kill him. Hashtag. No one knew his name. That happened in March, and the story just dropped. That happened while George Floyd happened, and then the protest for George Floyd happened. And we were talking about George Floyd, and the protest is taken off, and people are like, "Oh, I just heard Elijah McClain in our own community." Yeah, that was a couple miles away.
Yeah.
But Elijah McClain was a year ago.
Yeah, it's a year now.
Literally a year ago, but for the COVID and George Floyd kind of brought Elijah McClain back to the forefront. They've been protesting. You've been to Aurora.
Yeah.
They've been protests. There's been ongoing protests in Aurora, Colorado. I mean, that's got to tell people, look, not spot here. There's an ongoing protest in Aurora, Colorado. We're not Compton. Right. This is not DC. This is not Watts.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're not violent. There was a fire set to one of the rooms in the courthouse, though, after they broke up a peaceful protest. Somebody did burn something down. It turns out that after you don't let people protest peacefully, that violent people are going to come in.
Violent people are going to show up. Right.
Rioting is the voice of the unheard. That's what Dr. Martin Luther King told me. Yep. I don't know where he got it from, but that's what he told me.
Yep. And that makes sense. And all the years that I've been in Taylor, you know, born and raised here, I never really saw too much protesting until here recently. And within a week, there were 2 protests for George Floyd.
Did they protest your local, gentlemen?
No, they didn't. Now, when they were protesting, when they were doing one of the protests, one of the chants they were doing was, you know, say his name. And I actually thought, I think it speaks a lot to social injustice when the chant is say his name, and you do it 5 times in a row, and you got 5 different names.
Yeah.
So it's just, like I said, protesting is not something that was common here.
Here's something I think about the protests. I think we put a lot of protest on credit because we didn't lose it when Sandra Bland happened. That was an hour and a half away from my mom's house, right? When they didn't have the other mugshot, right?
Right.
And when it all started because she refused to put out her cigarette, and she didn't want to get out of the car. She didn't want to, you know, capitulate and bend the knee to this officer out there in the middle of the country doing jack squat. I'm watching myself here. But when you have those types of things that are flying under the radar, good Lord, by the time you find out, this is the most egregious of the most egregious.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I try to laugh because it's so hard half the time to deal with this.
So I got a story up right now. Casting calls. Texas sheriff hired troubled officers to play to the live PD cameras, and that's Williamson County Sheriff Robert Chody.
Yep.
That's the one from the 13th, I think. That's the one from the 13th.
Yeah, that's from the 13th.
And they had one on Tuesday.
So he's getting officers to play it up, to ham it up to the camera.
Oh yeah.
So what happened to the integrity of, you know, being an officer carrying the shield? There's no integrity.
There's a recall going on right now, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to recall this officer, aren't they?
Yes. They are trying to get a lot of these officers removed. I just saw, I think I just closed it here a second ago, that they have 2 officers that they are investigating for, you know, physical abuse of, you know, I guess victims or whatever in a couple of different situations. See if I can pull it back up. But there's
sexual abuse?
No, physical abuse.
Oh, just physical. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, once you see, and it gets me back to the whole, you know, live PD paying money to the sheriff's department to, I don't want to say ham it up, I don't like that word, but to almost increase the level of, what's the word?
Grit.
Or we're looking for conflict.
Yeah.
So we need you
Right.
to increase that level of anxiety with the individuals that we're picking, that you are choosing to pull over. We're going to bring in these SWAT teams, and these individuals
Got to be the right officer.
We get the right officer, and then we get the people who look the right way,
Don't worry, we got SWAT behind you.
and we are going to increase the level of anxiety for television and this individual. Because of this, because we are on a chase that we've already been told, when the jurisdiction that you're in is like, no, has already told you that, but you've got live PD in your rear view, in your car. You chase this man down because you need to make a television show, and then he dies, and you lose the footage.
Imagine that. Imagine if I'm a citizen, Kevin Cox, just me, and I'm walking around with my cell phone, just live streaming to my friends on Facebook, and I see somebody, and I want to make a citizen's arrest, and I go to grab him, and he's like, "Hey, I got congestive heart failure," and I grab him, and then he's still moving too much. I tase him, and then he mess around and dies, and then I delete all of my footage.
And then you're like, you know what?
Isn't that evidence, destruction of evidence?
You're like, nobody needs to see this.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have evidence of a crime and you destroy it, you go to jail for that.
Well, and that's the thing. So that was Aaron Hernandez from the Patriots. Remember, he had destroyed his footage of him leaving his house before he had killed Lloyd. What's his Lloyd? I can't
remember the name.
It's Terror. Lloyd. Yes, Odin Lloyd. Forgive me. Thank you for that. And he was charged with that as well. You can't do that. But apparently, this TV show, it's destroyed. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah,
Trump's
they don't
America.
have it anymore.
Trump's
Who does
America.
this?
Hey, you know what? Hillary Clinton destroyed evidence. Hillary Clinton destroyed evidence, guys.
Some emails? Allegedly?
Some emails. You see what I'm talking about? How we misprioritize things in America. Emails get deleted. By the way, George W. Bush deleted 2.2 million emails. I mean, it was
a massive number.
A massive amount of emails.
Civilization's burned to the ground, but we're worried about.
But we're talking about
emails.
33,000 emails, right? And you have footage of black men being murdered by officers of the law that are working for an elected official, spending tax dollars to ramp up the action in their cuts. You know, because you got to get that ad revenue.
Right.
You got to get that ad revenue, man. We need eyes. We need clicks.
We can't. We're not going to come back to Williamson County. You guys don't have enough action.
Yeah.
All right, we got you.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. We'll manufacture.
I know
got
what
you.
officer to put on it.
Yeah. You know what? Somebody go get Officer Friendly.
Exactly.
Officer Smiling, Officer Friendly.
Somebody go get Officer Smiley and Officer Friendly. We got you. It won't be long now. Y'all just sit in the back. Don't worry.
So I want to correct myself. I said that about them investigating the two officers for different abuse cases. So the headline is actually Texas Rangers investigating 5 Williamson County use of force cases.
Wow.
Thank you for the correction, sir.
Wow.
I feel so much better.
Right.
I just want to make sure because if Tony decides to call me again, then I want to say, hey, well, it was out there.
8 in the morning cussing you out at your baby girl game.
What's the name of that sheriff? What's the name of the sheriff again?
Chody?
Robert Chody.
Nice, Chody.
Yeah.
I hope all the voters out there in Williamson County see this.
And Marcus and I, we do this all the time. We invite Sheriff Chody to the show. If you want to come on and explain your side of it and make this an objective discussion because you think it's fake news and Mr. Hennington over here is full of crap and you never that newspaper is a rag, come on to the show and clarify it for us because we believe in both sides of the story, the third side being the truth. Show us your side of it. It's fair and honest, right? Fair and balanced.
That's what we're talking
Just
about.
like Fox News.
I've never wanted to see a Williamson County sheriff in my life.
I know that's right.
Now we had a really good interaction with our sheriff here in Arapahoe County. We got our first Democratic sheriff, and I don't know if
He's
it's
a great guy,
century.
actually.
It's like
ever?
here forever.
Is it ever? I think it's the first Democratic.
At least a quarter.
sheriff
At least a
ever.
quarter of a century.
And he's coming here talking about some serious policy points. And during the campaign, during the primary and whatnot, we actually pressed them on a few things. Not as a show because we didn't exist yet, but as people in the community, we pressed them a little bit, and he's actually stepped up to the challenge. He's still pushing for that jail, but we're still. Hey, everyone's somewhere. They got to start somewhere.
You got to start someplace.
So getting involved in these sheriff elections, is your black community engaged in the political cycle, in the political process, DA races, the police chiefs
You got
being
county
selected?
attorneys or DAs?
Yeah, you have county attorneys
County.
or DAs.
Yeah, we have a county attorney. As far as I know, no, they're not. I can say there's one black person running for one county position in Williamson County, at least. The only one that I can actually think of because I see his signs all the time. He's been in my office. He's advertised with us, and that's Perry Travis. He's running for constable, precinct 4, which is Taylor's precinct. And that office is, it's less than a block away from my office.
So do you keep track of the percentage of the ethnic breakdown of voters in Taylor or in your county?
Yes, I have those numbers somewhere. I don't have them with me.
It's not a quiz.
I'm sorry.
Definitely not
but
a quiz.
Yeah,
Just
we
inquisitive about it.
But yeah, we do definitely keep track of that. And one thing I always say, we have one black city council member here in Taylor. I tell people all the time, if you're not going to vote, don't complain.
Yeah, exactly.
This upcoming election is for everybody. It's for the at-large position. Everybody can vote.
What's the percentage breakdown ethnically in Taylor?
If you can give me a minute, I can go and grab a paper that actually has that.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, give me
because we can cut that.
All right, give me just a second.
Absolutely, because I want to see how disproportionate it is.
Well,
you know,
I think we're about 13.
About 13.
So
pretty
20 and
much wrong.
13. It's
Yeah,
it's us. I mean, it's Texas.
So you got one brother, maybe
Let me see.
Latino. See
What's their names? I probably went to school with them.
Let's see. They don't tell us tell us your name at least. Meet your council members. All right, here we go. Okay. Gerald Anderson, Mitchell Drummond, Brent Rydell, Robert Garcia.
What's the last one? Dwayne something.
Dwayne, yeah.
I might know him. Ask
Wow.
Kevin or Jason. I might know him. Do I know Gerald Anderson? Or do I know
Yes,
his
you do.
people? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Real quick answer on that one. Yeah, you know.
So
Dwayne Ariola.
Okay,
Dwayne
you got that.
Ariola,
Here.
yeah.
What you got on it?
So this is a special section we actually put together. Just let me scoot back a little
Nice.
bit. Just a couple of years ago,
That's my cousin.
Yeah, I like that.
and it's got a breakdown of everything. I mean, hold on. So black female under 18 in Taylor, 1.4%. Black male 18 and older, 4.4%. Black female 18 and older, 4.1%. Black males under 18, 1.3%. So
10% sounds like.
yeah, so this is a breakdown of the people of Taylor just in general.
So who's your highest demographic? Is it white or is it Hispanic?
Hispanic.
Okay.
And a lot of people
like that when I lived there.
yeah, and a lot of people don't want to believe that, but it is.
It is what it is. Looks like you got 2 Hispanic males on your city council, 1 black
Yes.
male, and 2 white males. One of them being the mayor. So,
Yes.
Do you have a weak mayor system like we have in Aurora, where basically the mayor just is a tiebreaker for the city council?
Pretty much. Yes. But I will say our mayor does a very, very good job. He was actually on my show the other day. So
What political party is he a member of?
he's not. He's bipartisan. Yeah.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Well, this is a weird an interjection between Aurora and was it Taylor or Hutto?
Hutto.
Okay. So there was a city manager. Remember when we had to get a new city manager?
Yes, I do. Yep.
One of them was from Texas. Jason actually met him and he interviewed for our city manager job. They ended up going in another direction, but Jason can tell you that story of the individual that interviewed for the Aurora city manager job. What happened to him?
Well, he was a black man, and he was here in Hutto. He was in Hutto, and he was he made a lot of decisions that didn't work out well for him in the end. I know a lot of people. I know after he left, a lot of people got laid off. When he came in, he cleaned house. A lot of people got removed from positions. New positions were made. He brought in a lot of industry. They were building this big sports park there. He done all of this, and the people of Hutto did not want him there, and they got rid of him. But his severance package was a little more than $500,000.
Oh wow.
Hutto.
Yeah.
Hutto, Texas, people.
Yeah, but what Mike might be talking about is when I actually met him. The first time I had actually met him, and he's a black guy, and I'm the publisher of the paper, and he's in Taylor for an event, and I walk over and I say, "How you doing, Mr. Jones?" His name was Otis Jones. "How you doing, Mr. Jones? My name is Jason Hennington. I'm the publisher of the Taylor Press." "Oh man, what's up, brother? It's good to see another one of us in a position like this, man. Hey, and he calls over his secretary. Hey, come meet this brother that's over here, man. We don't see many niggas like this out here doing this." And I'm like, that's not what I expected at all. So, but he just took a job in maybe Bay City.
Your time.
Bay City?
It may be. It's either Bay City or Baytown.
Which one's the college boys?
They're right next to each other.
Which one's the college boys?
Okay.
College boys.
Oh, are y'all kidding me?
College boys.
All right.
You talking about that girl?
The victim of the ghetto college boys? They're from either Baytown or Bay City?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you.
Lord. I apologize. Cut that out. Cut that out.
Sure
He's the city manager at one of those places, and just Thursday night, somebody from the Hutto City Council was asked to resign by the citizens because they wrote a letter of recommendation for him.
Wow.
Almost our city manager.
So you say he was what position did he take in Bay City or Baytown?
The city manager position.
City manager. I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Look up college boys too.
I tried to just show me a bunch of white boys with their shirts.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Missouri City. I'm sorry.
Missouri City. That's
Isn't that down
Mo
there?
City. Yeah, that's southeast. That's southwest of Houston. Yep.
Yeah, all that's down there.
That's
All
my
that's
father
down there.
used to live in Missouri City.
Yeah, you know, it's all same area. There's a Bay City right next to Baytown also.
Hey man, where's UGK from?
That's from Port Arthur.
Port Arthur. You got Port Arthur. All of them right there. Port Arthur, Bay City, Baytown, Bay City, Missouri.
Bun B's been getting political too.
Bun B.
Yeah, yeah.
That's who you guys need to get on both y'all podcasts.
He's a professor.
He's a professor at the University of Rice.
Oh, I know he's at Rice.
Yeah.
Y'all need to get him on the podcast.
True. Hey.
And you need to interview him, man. Kevin. Jason.
I don't know if our budget can cover that.
No.
He got an asking price to talk?
Sheesh.
He's been charging for his words for a while. So I can get it.
Yeah. Got to make money, I guess.
Yeah.
Bun B.
All right.
Bun B.
So, Jason,
Thank you.
I would love to have. I think we'd love to have you back here again, and your cousin
Okay,
too.
absolutely.
That'd be all right.
Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Michael Carter Esquire hanging out.
Absolutely.
Man about town.
First Baptist Church. Hey, you know what? I will say this. I think I'm still a member of the First Baptist Church of Taylor. The First Baptist Church of Taylor, Texas. I think I might be on a roll somewhere.
I believe
Hey,
you're in their choir.
you know the First Baptist Church now has a historical marker
Oh, nice.
right in the front of the church.
So they can't tear it down, is what you're saying.
Nope, can't tear it down. And the county has to give them money if they ask for it.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And I was a member of the choir.
So, and
How that's
while y'all, you mentioned you want to have me back on here, I would love to at some point get you guys on the podcast that I do
Be
for
honored.
our newspaper.
Absolutely. Be honored. Be honored.
all over.
Okay,
So-
it's called Around the Water Cooler. We talk local sports, but then we talk about everything else. I mean, we've talked about the protesting. We've talked about different things on the show. My former co-host, now he's just one of our sports guys, but he was in the military. He spoke a lot about the kneeling of the flag, kneeling during the national anthem, and he spoke very critical of these NBA players here recently inside the NBA bubble. So
Having those family emergencies.
What is his persuasion?
he's a white guy.
Hey, speaking of sports, Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Who y'all got?
Geritol.
Exactly. Exactly.
My money's on Geritol.
This is gonna be exactly.
I
Yeah.
think Mike Tyson's going to eat him for lunch, though.
Yeah, Mike Tyson might kill him literally.
Roy Jones has been out there getting knocked out this whole time. He's
Well,
been boxing.
No,
That's
yes.
5 fights.
Remember the one is the one in Russia where he got knocked
Yes.
Clean out.
out.
Clean out.
Yeah.
Boom.
Eyes closed. It was done.
Good night.
I don't know what he was doing.
And Tyson is looking like a beast, like he can go
Tyson
for
looks like he's back.
a round
Yeah.
and a half.
Look here, I
Back to
call
people's children.
I don't think he has no business talking to no Anthony Joshua, no Tyson
no,
Fury, no Deontay
no,
Wilder.
no.
I think he can go full with that Dubois guy.
Would you
in
pay to
Europe.
watch? I'd pay to watch
Oh,
him
yes.
fight somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, I would pay to watch Tyson fight.
I
somebody.
paid before
Where has this money been coming from since he
he did a play.
He has a
He
lead
did
range.
do a play?
He also has he did the solo play.
Did he pay
The
for
one
that
man-
ranch with cash? Is that how he did it? I just was curious. I was like, the man lives in Vegas.
It's luxurious.
I've seen him in Vegas a couple times.
I think he has a Vegas show. Of like
yeah, his one man show. I thought he did that in Vegas.
He toured and then he had like a
residency.
Well, I'm okay. Well, props to that. Okay, we went off on a tangent there.
Hey, so what I'm saying is face tats for everybody. Okay, one face tat, just one, not across here, not over the eyebrow. Do the Tyson.
Get a Taylor duck, a mallard, in here, in honor of my service to the Taylor Daily Press.
So we're not daily anymore, technically.
It
was an afternoon paper when I was there.
Yeah, just Taylor Press.
They don't even have evening papers anymore. That's not even a real thing.
I like how he checks every fact, though. I like that, bro. He's like, well, I said 2 officers. I checked and it was 5. You know what? You said Daily Press? We're not daily no more.
We just can't be equal. We got to go above and beyond. So I'm just going to leave that right there. Yeah. So please let us know when we can. Love to be.
Also, get all your details for your show.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. I would love to have you guys on. Mike has been on. That was a great show. We had a good group of people. Now, my show is live. My show is live, and we get people talking. And I can tell you, once this podcast gets out, I can already think of a couple of groups in the area that are going to be reaching out to me. So
you're going to get some emails. What's the name of your show, Jason?
Around the Water Cooler.
Where can we find it?
On the Taylor Press Facebook page.
Okay.
All right. Are you on the podcasting platforms?
No, I'm not. Just the show on Facebook.
Okay. We'll be glad to tune in and glad to show up if you need us. Anytime you need us. Let us know.
Sounds good.
If anything crazy pop up in Taylor, you got to hit up the Dope Black Thoughts Facebook page and shoot us a post. Let us know something about it.
Okay, I just liked your page.
I definitely will.
I think half of your community is liked your page as well. It's 8,000 likes. So
yes, absolutely. Well,
subscribe.
Yeah, $55, and we'll mail you the paper on Sunday. We'll email it to you on Wednesday. So.
Oh, that's what's up.
Hey,
all right.
I can deal with a black publisher.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on, taking the time to talk with me.
Love you, cousin. Love you, cousin.
All right. Love you too, Mike.
Anytime you call me, I be working hard. Mind on my money, money on my mind. Anytime you call me, I be getting to the band. Getting money like cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Customer, clientele.